Well, a little news from my end today is that my podcast is Pharmacology Difficult. It has been nominated in the Educational Podcast category for Hubhopper Awards, and the link I'm dropping down in the description notes where you can just click on it and you can actually vote for it. Great Expectations? Yes, I know it's a famous novel, one of my favorite works from my favorite author, Charles Dickens. I do have today some great expectations. Do vote for my podcast because your vote matters. Now this good deed definitely gonna be returned by leaps and bounds. That's my word of honor. Welcome all to Is Pharmacology Difficult podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Radhika Vijay, MBBS MD Pharmacology, and this is the audio hub to get the best simplified basic tips, strategies, methods, and lots of ideas to learn better, understand better, and make your concepts crystal clear. If you really find and if there's a question hovering in your minds, is pharmacology difficult? Lend me your ears for a while and let in the magic of knowledge. Today I will be telling you about the ion channels, especially for your kind and wonderful information. We have understood the enzymes to a great degree, and we know very well that they are serving as the drug targets. Now today I want to tell you that ion channels, they are that I'm gonna emphasize today. Especially I'm gonna talk about the voltage operated channels. A little details in the beginning that gonna tell us that channels are basically the protein moieties. They regulate the ion composition within themselves. Drugs are affecting the channels sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, all under the governance of specific signals and signal molecules. These can be of different varieties. The channels are of many types. Ligand-gated channels, then we have G-protein regulated channels, then we have voltage operated or stretch receptor sensitive channels. My pick of the day is voltage operated channels, and they are abbreviated as in sometimes capital VOC. They are gated by voltage. The variations in the membrane potential govern these channels. You can actually identify a few of these. Voltage gated sodium channel. I know you remember some things. Then we have voltage gated potassium channels. And yes, there are voltage gated calcium channels too. Now these voltage operated channels, they are seen in three major states. They can be in the open state, they can be in the closed state, or they can be in the refractory state. What do you mean by saying refractory? That's the inactivated state where you cannot activate a channel with a very good amount of the stimulus. Such channels, they have no modulator, I mean to say endogenous modulators like acetylcholine, and drugs actually exhibit state-dependent binding to these channels. What state? Well, I'm going to talk about states. Now the states can be elongated or they can be shortened by different drugs. Yes, it depends on the time. The time that the states can be elongated or the time that the states can be shortened. And the drugs, they are behaving either to elongate the state or shortening the time period of the state. Now to be very clear, I'm talking about the drugs like local anesthetics, anti-anginal drugs, anti-arrhythmic drugs, etc. Well, that was a good amount of word and details about the voltage operated channels, capital VOC. Well, a word about transporters now. Transporters, they serve the purpose of translocating or transferring a variety of drugs or substances across the membranes. Now, this translocation or this transfer, it can be in the direction of the concentration gradient, or yes, it can be opposite to the direction of the concentration gradient. When it goes on the opposite side, yes, when it goes against the concentration gradient, that's the moment it requires a good amount of energy. Now, sometimes what happens, these are the two types. They can be with the concentration gradient or against it. And one more situation we can have is that direct interaction is also quite common, and that is also with the solute carrier, abbreviated as capital SLC. Now these are SLC transporter proteins. What do we need? We need to exemplify, to complement this theory. I'll give you some around 3 examples that gonna make this whole picture and concept crystal clear. The first one to talk about is furosemide. That's a diuretic drug. It inhibits the sodium-potassium 2-chloride co-transporters in the ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Okay? Then we have probenecid that inhibits the active transport of uric acid, and penicillin. Simply, they interact with the organic anion transporters. Then we have SSRI. What is capital SSRI? That is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And the prototype drug I'm going to talk about is fluoxetine. It blocks the uptake of serotonin, that is chemically 5-HT, and they interact with the serotonin transporter. And there are many more examples like these 3 that I just told. Now, before I really depart and wish you a goodbye, I just want to say I generally don't do any sponsorships or ads because I think they are a great disturbance in the flow of the knowledge. Today, I just want to take some time and ask you all to vote for my podcast. The details I talked about in the beginning of the episode, well, that's just a reward you can give to me and the right time to share the link in the description notes. Actually, you can vote up to 26th of September. That's the current deadline that they have given to us, and that's what we can tell you. So please hurry. If you listen, then please vote also. That's gonna make my tiny steps turn into great leaps and bounds. Hope you're liking these vocals about my subject pharmacology. The mantra and the goal is to stay tuned. For all the updates and latest episodes of my podcast, please visit www.ispharmacologydifficult.com, where you can also sign up for a free monthly e-newsletter of mine. It actually contains a lot of updates about medical sciences and drug information updates, and my podcast updates also. You can follow me on different social media handles like Twitter, Insta, Facebook, and LinkedIn. They all are with the same name as Pharmacology Difficult. If you're listening for the first time, and I'm sure you're not, do subscribe and follow whatever platform you are consuming this episode. And yes, today I'm gonna add on vote 2. Stay tuned, stay happy, stay enlightened. Thank you.